This time on Railroad Australia. The closer it gets, the harder it gets.
I don't know if it's going to help us.
As Bernie Baker battles his way home.
We're getting further behind.
In the roundhouse,
No, that doesn't fix it either.
the team is going around in circles.
I've never seen one do this.
And train nut James is on a quest
So I'm going to go forward first.
to achieve his driver dream. They are the kings of the Australian Outback.
You've got to concentrate all the time.
Some of the biggest trains in the world
If things go wrong with these things, normally makes a big mess.
on epic journeys
It's a bomb on wheels.
through a hostile continent.
Holy crap! Have a look at all this water.
A nation depends on them.
Oh, God, boys, get into it.
And the teams that keep these metal monsters on the tracks. Hauling huge loads of food, freight and mineral riches across incredible distances.
We are out in the middle of nowhere, that's for sure.
Big trains,
It'll be a massive challenge to us.
big country.
No one's ever done it. We'll see how we go.
Yeah, we've still got wheel slip, brake warning issues, and we've just got a green relay from some weeks.
In the South Australian desert, Bernie Baker and Warren Murphy are still getting mechanical problems at an alarming rate. They're trying to pull 1.6 kilometres of coal wagons with 5 1950s Streamliner locos.
So we're just trying to get over the hill out of Nectarbrook. We've got a train line alarm for something's shut down, something's not playing ball down the back.
To get up the long, steep gradients that lie ahead, they need at least 4 of the 5 engines working at full capacity.
Get the bloody Handbrake Creek, I suppose, and have a look at it.
It isn't looking good. But if anyone can do it, Bernie Baker can. The king of Outback Rail.
Oh, listen to that. She's got some life. She's got some life in her.
He lives and breathes trains
It's going to be the best sound in the rail industry, that.
and loves 1950s Streamliner locos. After surviving 2 heart attacks, a leg amputation and 34 years in the industry, his employer, Southern Short Haul Railroad, even named one of the locos after him.
We've got an order.
Joining him on the journey is fellow driver Warren, who doesn't always share Bernie's enthusiasm for these classic diesels.
Suffering some electrical and pneumatic issues, very unpredictable, 1950s vintage equipment.
This troubled expedition has brought them 1,200 kilometres from Parkes in New South Wales to Port Augusta in South Australia to pick up 90 used coal carriages. It's been a struggle.
It's a big trip, and it's a big trip for old diesels. You just can't help failure sometimes. That's just the way it goes. As long as there's mechanical and electrical involved, there's the risk of things going wrong.
Now, Bernie and Warren are trying to get back across the searing outback, laden with nearly 2,300 tonnes of rolling stock. But already, they're fighting for traction.
We're getting our intermittent wheel slip and brake warning light coming on. We're now in the middle of the section and we're buggered.
With their schedule already blown, they decide to try and assess the problem while on the move.
Whereabouts are you?
Bernie calls a mate to rendezvous with them and try and pinpoint if some of the engines aren't working.
Yeah, see which logos with smoke coming out of these oars. So.
Engineer Paul Quinn will drive beside the locos, looking for smoke. No smoke means a dead locomotive. Bernie needs 4 out of 5 working. If more than one loco has failed, this epic quest could too. This is the Roundhouse, home to the Junee Railway Workshop. It's a hospital for ailing locomotives sent here for service and repair.
Put her in number one end first, as before.
Yeah, is it this end?
Yeah, number one, yeah.
This loco is a 47-year-old veteran, and it's being nursed into a sick bay by apprentice Ethan Sainsbury.
Everyone's got their thing to do, and yeah, if you slack off, you start to fall behind pretty easy. So apparently I'm in charge, I don't know how.
This one come in for a 21-day service. Similar to what you do on a carpet, you can imagine 100 times heavier.
Chris Sweeney is the supervisor, who's really in charge of this job.
See that 1380, 1370?
Yep.
I need 2 belts to match that. If they don't worry about ordering any, just come straight back.
The Roundhouse is uniquely located halfway between Sydney and Melbourne, taking advantage of one of Australia's busiest rail networks. For Cube, the owner of this locomotive, every minute it's out of action means freight that's not moving.
And if we can't get them out in the afternoon, the boss is in Sydney and they have to redirect locos around to just cover this one, especially if they're busy, which they are.
First, they must assess the loco and identify the problems.
This one's an older loco, so an old Alco engine. They're pretty old now, 12 cylinders, old parts, old gear. The engine's pretty much, there's always oil and water leaks on them. You can't help that with an old Alco. Dirty though, anything in the locomotive or railway industry is dirty.
Dig as much of it out as we can and put some fresh stuff in it.
The crew examine every major part and system of the loco.
Yeah, very important. This is all checked. Falls off, catastrophic.
A call to workshop director Andrew Clinton reports the repairs needed.
It's an old loco. It's 50-something years old, and it's still going and going well. When you consider the capital cost of this compared to the capital cost of replacing it, the spreadsheets work rebuilding old stuff like this, and they'll work forever rebuilding old stuff like this.
I've just finished the brake test. The boys have gone through and done all their running checks, making sure the batteries are charging and the engine's okay.
But this engine needs more than just a service. There are problems aplenty.
Yeah, this one has the speedo's not working. We believe the brushes on the side of the axle are playing up. The air conditioner belts are flung off, so we have to replace them. Actually, there's also a seal on the back on the oil filter bowl. That will be a big job.
And apprentice Ethan has been given his own special mission.
There's been a power loss the drivers are complaining about, so I've got to go underneath and see if I can find anything in the traction motors.
With its owner losing business, the race is on to get this loco back on track today. Everleigh Railway Workshop, Sydney. Train nut James Gray has arrived for one of the biggest days of his life. At just 16, James bought an abandoned diesel locomotive, 42101, for only $12,000.
The streamlined nose has always been to me just a look that they got it right.
20 years and $300,000 later.
Oh, here she is, 42101. Yeah, sometimes I just can't believe I've got it running after all this time.
But there's still something missing. A license.
It's a bit like owning a Ferrari and not being able to drive it. All right, I'm ready to start her up. The ultimate goal is now to step over and get my driver qualifications signed off to be able to drive my locomotive. I love hearing the sound of the engine starting up. She's alive. She's alive.
Today's his biggest lesson yet. Taking on the punishing Cockatoo Run. 160 kilometres of winding coastal track that runs from central Sydney to Moss Vale in the Southern Highlands. Manoeuvring along cliff-top rail lines and some of the steepest grades in Australia.
We're changing one of the brake shoes here. It's worn. We want to change that before the trip because we're going up and down the big mountain, and certainly don't want to have our brakes wear out.
It will take James over 2 years of training to qualify as a driver.
It's all in, no worries. Good to go.
He'll need a good teacher at his side.
You know how some people wonder about what people are thinking? They never have that problem with me. I let them know what I'm thinking.
Meet Dave Boyd.
We didn't get off to what you call a real good start.
He's the boss.
Known as Jaws for chewing up trainees and spitting them out.
I can't go easy on James because I wouldn't be doing my job if I did.
In just a few hours, for the first time, James will be taking the helm, bringing a new intensity to this relationship between man and machine.
He has to develop skills that the train doesn't become a runaway so easy on a steep grade.
I'll actually be more stressed than the engine because obviously it's ultimately my job to make sure I can control the engine.
Is this the beginning of a beautiful thing?
A lot of work's gone into this.
Or will it derail a dream?
The speedo's not working. The air conditioner belts need replacing, and there's an oil seal on the oil filter bar which will make it hard to get out today.
Supervisor Chris Sweeney has more problems than he bargained for. He must get this ageing loco back on track before the close of play.
We'll try and get out today as we always do, but it just depends how this pipe goes back together, that's all.
Its owner desperately needs it back to avoid costly hold-ups in its freight service. 19-year-old apprentice Ethan Sainsbury has been tasked with finding an intermittent power problem. But beneath 114 tonnes of steel plates, wires and cables, isolating it will be difficult.
So every traction motor has these little brass things, they're called the pigtails, and then that's what we sort of think where the power loss is coming from. So I'll just go around and check out all of them, see if everything's intact, and then blow them out as I go. Yep, that one's alright, just let them know to go. No, this one's good as well. As you can probably see, there's be a tight squeeze sometimes.
While Ethan searches even deeper into every nook and cranny, the rest of the crew begin working down the repair list.
So was it actually cooling down before then, though?
First, a busted aircon.
Just chasing up a couple of belts. If I throw you a part number, 1370. Hopefully you got something. Yeah, okay. I'll get one of the boys to go and pick him up.
The team is now down one man who's getting parts.
I'll go over and raise your purchase order now to go and get these belts.
To make it out by the end of the day, the boys will have to work double time.
We have a very small crew for the amount of work that gets put out, so when we lose one blade, it sort of makes it harder on everyone else.
Mechanical fitter Taylor gets started on the oil leak.
I found a leak in the pipe, not in the seal, so I've got to pull it apart and change the seal and the gasket, and hopefully that'll fix the job.
Diesel locos can hold over 750 litres of oil. A complete oil change can cost up to $4,000. Stopping major leaks is a top priority.
Should only take a couple of hours, but anything can happen. Something can go wrong.
As Taylor battles with the oil leak, Ethan is struggling to find the source of the power failure.
So far, they all seem pretty good. There's nothing bad or anything.
He now has a nervous walk to report his lack of success.
I could delay it massively. It could be a little problem or it could be something massive and it just throws everything out of the window.
Half a day has already gone. Ethan's worried he's letting the team down. In central Sydney, learner driver James Gray
So I'm just going in there.
is getting his own personal loco,
Yep, that's all good.
ready for a grueling 10-hour run.
This section of track that we're going to travel on today is most certainly very exacting, and it's going to be a real challenge for James.
Checking the compressor oil. Yep, nice and full.
This engine can push out 1,800 horsepower, but only when it's shown enough tender, loving care.
So that's the fuel pump running there, was. We've got water.
It needs 900 litres of lubricating oil
Let's make sure we've got oil.
and 850 litres of cooling water just to run smoothly.
This loco might not run for a month or two, And for a 50-year-old girl, yeah, it's going well, but obviously we're always concerned, you know, that something could go wrong out on the track. So we always want to check things, double check things and triple check things sometimes if need be. I'll need you to check the sands as well, so when we go up the hill, obviously we don't want to slip. Should be good. All right, let's get into it.
We're now dealing with real trains, real responsibilities and real people. And obviously, James's focus will always be on the safety of his passengers and his train.
James will be hauling a 5-carriage, 230-tonne train over severe climbs. He'll need every ounce of traction he can get. Vital to this is sand.
So as part of the loco prep, we're going to walk around the locomotive. The number of sanders on the unit, and the sand provides adhesion to the locomotive. So we're going to go around the locomotive, make sure they're dropping the sand the way they should be. All right, we're ready to sand when you are, James.
So I'm going to go forward first.
Okay. Go to the other side now. Yeah, all good.
We've got 5 cars on the train for a bit over 230 tonnes, I believe.
To help pay for the restoration and upkeep of the loco, James will be taking 220 fare-paying passengers, and they'll be making the trip in vintage style. Project Officer Todd is making sure the 1930s carriages are ready.
Over here we've got our wash basin. Make sure that's plumbed in. Over in the corner here we've got little individual berth lights. Each of our fully restored compartments has a full twinette sleeper, including a nice little ladder.
But as Todd finishes up, he spots trouble.
Look, there's something we've got to talk about down here. So in one of the lounge cars where we've got the Premier tickets in this car, we've got a problem with the batteries. We don't want a situation where we've got no lights and no power in there. No lights and no power, the whole carriage is disabled.
A driver is responsible for the whole train. James needs to get the carriage working or risk customers missing out.
We've had a penalty brake go off on one of the engines. We're in the middle of the section now.
Bernie and Warren's Streamliner convoy has a problem.
I don't know what's going on.
If more than one loco has gone down, the 1.6 kilometre train will stall on the approaching grades, stranding them over 1,000 kilometres from home.
Paul, who's driven down the road beside us.
They're waiting on a roadside visual from engineer Paul. If any of the locos aren't working, they won't be emitting smoke.
All right. No worries. Thank you so much, mate. Oh, you're big time. You've done well. No workers. Cheers. So everything's got smoke coming out of it, but 302.
Shut 302 down. If you don't need it, shut it down.
All right. We've had a locomotive lay down on us. When we go for a cross, probably a Port Germain, we'll shut it down and haul it dead the rest of the way.
Try go and put that engine offline.
Righto, boss. So back to 4 out of 5.
The boys can't afford any more locos to fail.
So I've only got, in theory, only got one spare left. After that, yeah, it'll be a no-go.
Bernie and Warren are desperate to make up time. They've been away from their families for nearly a week. But it's peak hour on the Outback track, and the boys are forced to hurry up and wait for their run, known as a path.
So we've arrived in the crossing loop at Gladstone here. Well, we should have been in Broken Hill an hour ago. Because of our failures this morning, we're way off our path, so now we've got to take what we can get. So if it means going into crossing loops and waiting for other trains, then so be it. But we've got another 2 trains coming at us yet.
It's a long, slow day in engine boiling temperatures. Finally, the traffic clears.
Roger that. 4578.
Bernie and Warren now push their 4 working locos to the limit, desperately trying to get back on schedule. But the day of delays has cost them. They've reached their maximum legal driving time.
We're going to run out of hours.
And are forced to stop just short of their target, Broken Hill.
End of the line.
The other one, well, the air conditioner. The air conditioner's thrown the belt. So we sent one of the boys to grab another one.
At the Roundhouse, apprentice Ethan Sainsbury has been unable to solve the mysterious intermittent power problem. Reluctantly, he must tell Chris, his boss.
What's going on, Eth?
There's nothing wrong with any of the brushes. The only thing I could see was a hammer being on the brush holder, but that wouldn't do anything, would it?
No. It wasn't on the frame or
No.
No. Righto, we'll keep going. Check the brakes.
The service team are one man down, and Ethan's tied up, still looking for the power failure.
No, he hasn't found anything wrong, and yeah, at this stage we'll just keep going further, see if we can find anything. If not, sometimes they are one-off, it happens randomly, so especially in the wet weather. There's that arbor too. About time. Yeah, right. Oh, where'd Ethan go? Ethan!
Any more unexpected problems to repair could blow the job out and into the red. But right now, black is the colour they're worried about. The heavy-duty gearbox grease appears to be contaminated.
This is a bit of an unusual. Blackjack looks a bit different to what it normally does, that's all. You come down and have a look at this grease, just a bit different.
It feels like there's little bits in it, like dried up pieces of it.
See, in this hot weather, that should be loose as anything.
Yeah, I know.
You've got to put sand in it, but I don't think it'll be sand in there. Could end up wearing the gear out too much. So the gears are up meshing together. And it's got lumps all through it.
It has got a gritty feel to it though, Jake. You got a container? Tell you what we do, we'll dig as much of it out as we can and put some fresh stuff in it. Yeah, I don't think there's words to describe it. It's very, very sludgy. And we don't normally come across them with a gritty like this and you've got to remove it. You don't have to do this. It's like it's been contaminated with something. We're not sure, so we'll just refresh it as much as we can. It's getting nice and dirty.
Go and clean it up very well.
It's a slow battle with sludge they didn't need. Finally, some good news on one of the repairs. The oil leak was due to a failed seal.
That's the seal that's leaking, yep. It's just been squashed up, so it's gone flat. And you got a whole seal in there, broken in there, just old.
Replacing it is relatively easy and means the boys can make up for lost time.
Yeah, got a new gas on there now, so hopefully she should seal up there and not leak again. With a bit of luck. See how it goes.
Although the team are picking up the pace, there's still a problem with the speedometer.
Yeah, if it's not drawing any juice through that globe, then it's definitely, I'd say we've got a broken wire or so.
Speedo's not working, so just trying to find out what's wrong with it.
Obviously you need the speedo because it can't run over their speeds, as you can imagine. There would have had to have been power there, was there?
Yeah, well, when I put it between the R and S, there was power.
So we've lost a feed 1, 2 and 3. So at the moment the speedo's not working, so we've done the basics, the usual checks that we go through, which is 95% of the time we'll be able to find it, but in this case, yeah, we're working through the schematic now, so if we can't find it, yeah, the Loco won't be going out today. Fingers crossed we'll find it very soon.
With a network of cabling attached to the instrument, the team have just hit a major speed bump.
Look, there's something we've got to talk about down here. So in one of the lounge cars where we got the Premier tickets, we've got a problem with the battery, so look.
In Sydney, Loco owner and trainee driver James has a power problem plaguing his first big trip.
We don't want a situation where we've got no lights and no power in there. No lights and no power, the whole carriage is disabled.
One of the luxury carriages has a dead battery.
We want to look after our 40 premium ticket holders.
That's right.
Rather than finding a replacement carriage, James has decided to charge the battery.
Hopefully we should be okay.
Meanwhile, driving instructor Dave is keen to get going.
Okay, where's James? I've been an appointed driver for 43 years and I've been on the railway 51 years.
Over the next 10 hours, James must show Dave he's made of the right stuff.
Yeah, Dave, I'm standing here, the crossing's protected, and you're right to come back.
Yeah, sweet mate, coming back.
This is day one of the rest of his career. He'll develop from there and gather his own skills.
Righto, coming back towards Urco.
I'll just be passing on what knowledge I have to assist him in developing those skills.
Mick's got you there, Dave. I'll leave you with Mick and I'll go and talk to Alex about the 48.
The days of being a hobby have come to an end. He's now becoming a professional railway man, a professional engine driver, and he'll have to accept the responsibilities that go with that.
James will have to pull out all the stops.
Gotcha. Got it!
Thank you.
The battery is charged and the carriages are on the move. Time to hook up and head out.
Is it staying here or are we setting back? Where we're staying. Staying right here. Okay.
An entry will be made on his work history and his training history as to how he's performed today, and that's one step of many more steps that he has to take, and there's no guarantee at the end of his training that he's going to become a driver.
The departure point is Sydney's Central Station, Australia's busiest, handling over 250,000 passengers and over 800 train movements every day. For James, this will be a baptism of fire.
And a trusty timetable from the Cockatoo.
On board, over 200 passengers expecting a smooth ride.
It's going to be a nice day, nice weather. We're all in for a good trip.
We're off.
James and Dave are entering a labyrinth of tracks, trains and signals.
Right through, mate.
On two.
Too dangerous for rookie James to drive on just yet.
You can probably see we've got a whole barrage of signals here and it's very hard to learn all of this. It takes more than one trip. One of the busiest railway yards in Australia.
It's his role to learn the system and assist Dave as they attempt to clear the city limits.
We're just chasing the speedo fault. We checked the basic stuff first, and we've already checked that, and it hasn't shown up at the moment, so.
At the Juni workshop, getting the Cube Loco serviced in one day has hit a roadblock.
Yeah, without the speedo, they don't know what they're doing, so yeah, the biggest issue at this stage will be the speedo, yeah.
Chris and electrician Nick Blanchard need to fault check every part of the speed system, from the bottom of the loco up.
I reckon it could be a broken wire somewhere. We just got to keep bell testing it and checking voltages in places to get this loco out on time. Try and get this speedo fixed.
Go on R! Put it on R!
That'll seem to work. Yeah, our problem might be in the commutator. We'll pull him out and replace him with something else and see if that's the problem.
It's called a commutator for the speedo, or they call it the speedo collector, yeah. So we'll change this out and see how we go.
Connected to a wheel, the commutator sends a signal to the speedo.
I really hope this is it because I'm sick of this one. If this doesn't solve the problem, we'll just have to try and find what the issue is.
Come on.
Yeah, no, that wasn't it.
Replacing the commutator has failed to fix the problem.
Everything down to the unit where it feeds back up to make the speedo work looks okay.
But the boys aren't giving up hope.
Another thing to trial bench.
What's that?
We've got a brand new speedo unit, haven't we? That's our next plan of attack.
Right, I'll go.
We're just going to try another one, sit it up here and see what it does. And yeah, we'll see if it works or not.
Meanwhile, apprentice electrician Ethan continues to look for the intermittent power failure problem.
No, I haven't had much luck so far. There's none in the first three, so I'll go into the second lot and see how it goes. Just give them a little wiggle, make sure everything's all right. And if everything's all right, you just move on to the next one until you find it.
The team are racing the clock. They have less than an hour before the loco's service needs to be finished. Nick returns to test the new speedo.
Yeah, no, that doesn't fix it either.
Both units, old and new, aren't responding, and the boys are fast running out of ideas and time.
Running the pump here at the moment, so trying whatever we can get this thing out this afternoon, hopefully.
In Broken Hill, on the ailing streamliners, Bernie and Warren have reached their 12-hour daily driving limit. They must park up and rest.
So we'll go in the car now to Broken Hill and have a feed and go to bed.
The following day, Bernie's back in the driver's seat.
No, mate.
And it doesn't take long before he wishes he was somewhere else.
So I've got issues this morning with brakes not releasing on all the locos like they're supposed to, so Warren's just going back through them at the moment. It's been a long week. We're in day 6 now. The last 673 kilometres to go. We just seem to be having difficulty getting out of here as well. So as much as I like my old diesels and my old streamliners, it's going to be nice to get home and get off them in the morning, actually.
Yeah, I showed 0 the brake cylinder pressure on
Fantastic.
The brakes are finally sorted, but the refuelling truck is nowhere to be seen.
Oh, just waiting for the fuel guy. I was, 11 o'clock. Oh, they didn't tell me 11. Bugger. But we weren't told 11, we were told 12:12. But if he doesn't come back out, then we're going to have to make alternative arrangements.
Obviously there's a gap in communication somewhere.
They're right here now, that's what I'm saying. I've backed up and... All right, thanks, Dwight. Oh, yeah, big time. See you, mate. Bye. We're going to get fuel. He says if we can have those logos in position in half an hour, I'll send him up. I said, we're already here.
The delay has caused more chaos.
These points are not going to unlock, mate. But I don't think there's a way around for your train, is there? Because you're so long.
Yeah, mate. So we're going to have to wind over 104 points, aren't we?
Is that it, mate? I don't think we've got much choice.
We've just come out from fueling our locos and we're trying to get back onto our train, but since then another train's arrived from the east and somehow the points have been track locked and control can't remotely operate the points, so we've got to do it physically and wind the points over. Otherwise, we just sit here. We can't do that. We've got a bloody train to run.
Warren will have to manually switch each point to allow the train back onto the main track. That means a 1.6 kilometre walk in 35-degree heat.
Piece of
After 6 long, hard days, there's little over 670 kilometres of their journey left. But in the last 4 hours, they've gone absolutely nowhere.
Now we'll just test each wire individually now, see where it goes from there. Hopefully it works.
Chris and Blanchy are desperate to fix a busted Speedo, as the deadline to get this locomotive serviced and delivered looms.
It can be frustrating at times when you change everything out, and it's part of the game, unfortunately, but yeah.
The pressure increases as boss Andrew arrives to check on progress.
So we'll get it out tonight?
Yeah, it'll be definitely out this afternoon.
We need the money, honey.
Just keep going. Like, just trust that you'll find it in the end. You just try not to get cranky. But yeah, just stay patient with it. I'll bet you there's 13 more there to blow.
As the electricians troubleshoot the Speedo,
Yeah, that one's all good.
apprentice Ethan has come up empty-handed on the intermittent power failure.
Yeah, I haven't found anything, so I'll go find Swain and see what he reckons. And that's if I can find him.
This Loco, when it came in, we reported that had like an intermittent power failure. So we've gone through the traction motors, the generator, really measured okay within spec. So yeah, sometimes it can be just a bounce on the track or yeah, a bit of water here and there. Yeah, it causes a zap. So at this stage, yeah, all good to run.
As one job is signed off on, the belts have finally arrived to fix the aircon.
We just want to build up some air and check some belts that we've just put on, that's all. I'll start her up.
It's about 850, we'll shut it down. Just to give the belts a bit of a run from there.
The air conditioning is good to go. Now it's just the elusive Speedo fault.
Down through there, coming down the bottom, that's fine.
Chris and Blanche retest each wire in case they missed something.
Yeah, righto. Yeah, we'll run some wires in a minute.
None of the connections are showing a failure. Chris is confident the fault lies in the old wiring. To check his theory, he decides to bypass it with a bridging cable.
I was about to say, put that first one on R1.
Sweet, I'm going to get it finished today or not?
Still working on it, let's hope so. Yeah, we haven't had one do this for a while. It's definitely a cable fault. Okay. Tell me what that does. Nothing?
It fails to identify the problem.
Just watch your head there, Blanche, I'll pull them up. I've never seen one do this.
Getting desperate, the boys recheck the commutator. The first part, looked at hours ago.
We decided to pull the cap off, which is where the wires feed into the speedo unit. And yeah, sure enough, there's 2 wires broken in behind, so fix them up and we'll be good to go.
The transport company needs their loco in less than half an hour.
5 minutes time, we should have an answer on this.
If this last fix doesn't work, there's no time for any troubleshooting.
Chill out when you're ready.
And the boys will have missed their deadline and wiped out their hard-earned reputation.
Right, Sween, when you're ready.
I'll put it in if you want to test that. I'll walk up down and test that one.
Right, yeah. Oh yeah, that's it.
Yeah, you beauty. That's what we're looking for.
Fantastic.
Yeah, breaded tube's heating up now, so we're laughing. Yeah, breaded tube didn't take long to heat up.
So we'll get it out tonight?
Yeah, it'll definitely be out this afternoon.
Good. We can get paid.
Yeah.
I can pay the staff.
You can pay us for standing in front of these things all day. Yeah, we had a bit of difficulty, as you saw, with the speedo today, so we got there in the end, which is the most important thing. You just got to keep gritting your teeth and get in there.
So the fault in the end ended up being in the cap near the commutator there. Trying to find these faults is always a good challenge.
It'll be out this afternoon, which is fantastic. So we've got a good team of guys here. They ripped in, as they always do. And yeah, it's great stuff. One on the next signal, Dave.
In the heart of Sydney, it's a tough start to James's lesson. Before he can drive, he must master the network.
You know this next signal here, James, is the yard limit.
Past this point, they're onto the crowded main line.
Signals are very close together, a lot of point work, and it takes a long time to learn that bit of track.
We've got to be very careful with this signal, James, because this protects the eastern suburbs line.
Yep.
Now the line's clear in front of us, we've just got the signal.
With 3,000 train journeys in Sydney every day, misreading a signal could be catastrophic.
The signals in this particular location, James, are very close together. They need the gaps to be very small so they can put more trains in during the peak hours.
It's not just trains James needs to watch out for.
We've got more track workers here. Well, there's a lot of dangers here because if one of these guys accidentally fell over, then potentially get run over by one of these 2 trains.
He must stay on the lookout. And in a 1960s train, there are no computers to help out.
You need to
just Dave.
Gain your knowledge of the various sections of the track. A piece at a time, James.
8 stops and a tight schedule. James and Dave make it through Sydney's outer suburbs.
1.5 cars to go. And red light anywhere there, Dave.
At one station,
We've got some more admirers out here.
James greets some train fans. His first mistake of the day.
Try not to blow the whistle in here, mate.
The horn should only be used as a warning.
There's just some passengers, just some...
The game rules have now changed. It's now become a profession.
As they move out of the city, it's time for James to take the hot seat. He's now in charge of his painstakingly restored loco, pulling 5 carriages, 220 passengers, and weighing 340 tonnes.
We're operating a full-size locomotive on a constantly used network, so we have to be extremely vigilant.
It's a childhood dream come true. But up ahead is one of Australia's toughest routes. The dream could quickly become a nightmare.
There's been some issue with the point, so they've had to be physically wound over with a handle, so we haven't got much time to muck around.
Warren's just walked 1.6 kilometres in the Outback heat to manually switch the train points. Now, 2,800 tonnes of train can get onto the main line and hopefully home.
Warren's girl fitted in.
I've just walked the whole train.
Yeah, he's just walked the whole train, so he's as fit as a mallee ball.
You've got to do it again, yet. Stop their points up on your departure, but
So seriously, we're going to lock those points up behind us?
no one else will lock them up, mate.
Right, then.
Just what you need. You've just walked 1,600 metres and now train control's telling you you've got to walk it again.
Well, we've got to restore these points to the normal position, even though I feel it's not our issue. It's something that should be sorted out from the track operator. With 1,600 metres of train, we'll be blocking a level crossing further down, so we're getting further behind.
With a long wait for Warren, there's only one thing left to do. Cook dinner.
Yeah, we've got a bit of time on our hands to prepare this meal, so welcome to Cafe B61. Bruschetta with a bit of vinaigrette and a few veggies on some toasted country loaf of bread.
With the meal underway, Bernie has a solution to Warren's Outback Marathon.
Yeah, we'll get Warren in a taxi to get down to the front of us, otherwise we're going to be blocking that crossing to Broken Hill East.
A taxi from Broken Hill will pick Warren up, 1.6 kilometres away at the back of the train, transporting him to the front of the train, saving time and energy.
Clear the crossing, the gates are up, anywhere safe, and you won't pull up.
Righto, Warren, taxi's on the way, mate.
Bernie's managed to get the engines refueled, assist Warren in switching the points, cook dinner, and finally get the train moving, all without leaving his seat.
Righto, mate. Thanks for your help. Well, that saved a long walk. It did. Just came in by yellow taxi.
And guess what? Your timing was impeccable. Lunch is served.
Bruschetta, she's ready.
Absolutely sensational. And healthy.
The boys are off on the last 670 kilometres of their epic journey. After an arduous 6 days of non-stop drama.
Hey, what?
Finally, the classic Streamliner locos run like clockwork.
Oh, not bad, was it? Thanks, mate.
Cheers.
Cheers. And thanks for a great trip. It's been bloody great, mate.
Been a few dramas, but nothing we haven't been able to resolve. And in the end, we're virtually back on time. We're back in Parks on the same day that we're supposed to. All in all, it's been a good trip.
Well, here we are at the end of 6 days away. A few hiccups along the way, but yeah, with the support from management, getting this train over here, these 90 wagons, yeah, it's been an amazing team effort.